So tonight we're going to talk about corrupt communications. That's right, corrupt communications. And I know some of y'all probably wondering, where in the world does he get that from? Well, I'm glad you asked. Alright, foundational text for tonight is coming from Ephesians 4th chapter and the 29th verse that says, "Let no corrupt communications proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good for the use of edifying, that which may minister grace unto the hearer." Now, God gave me this message because He opened my eyes to see some things. One, how the enemy has camouflaged himself in our language. Have you heard somebody say somebody is really good by saying, "Oh, yo, he was bad"? Wait a minute, time out. You describe good by saying it's bad. Or have you ever heard this term? "Oh, dog, he killed it, man, he killed it." He killed it. He took the life of something, but yet you're describing, using that to say, it was really, really good. It was off the chain. It was, hey. But we described it by saying, they killed it. What else? Let's think. Have you ever heard somebody say, "Oh, my nigga"? You just called them your ignorant friend. But because that's what slang has taught us, and the things that we have learned have been twisted. So we are constantly, day to day, speaking things that are corrupt. We're putting on symbols that are corrupt. Have you ever seen some of the motorcycle jackets or the tactical things? Why do they always have symbols of the skull or death? How many alive people have you seen walking and it's skull? The skull is enclosed with skin, but after the skin is decayed, then you'll see the skull. So why are we flaunting symbols of death and we think it's cool? You may say, "Oh, well, MC Raymond, you said communication." Well, there's visual communication, there's audible communication. Audible is what you hear, visual is what you see. See, a lot of times children learn based on not only what they hear, but what they see. If they see a father abusing his mother, they think that that becomes okay. They hear you say, "Oh, he killed it." So they grow up thinking killed it is a good thing. And they're constantly speaking death. Oh, well, I know you're probably saying, "Well, what does that have to do with anything?" Well, I'm glad you asked. In Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26 through 27, it says, "And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Let him have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl of the air, and the cattle, and over all the earth, and over all the creeping things upon the earth." And God created man in his own image. Or if you take the italicized word out, God created man in his image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So God created us, mankind, in his image. Now God is spirit. So he created us in a spirit. The Bible later says that he formed man from the dust of the ground. Created is like a thought. You have a thought, it becomes in your mind. Formed is when you put your hands to do it. So God created us in his image. Now let's think about the image and the likeness of God. When God created the earth, he spoke it into existence. He opened his mouth and he said something. And something was created based on what he said. Yet we think that what we say has no bearing on our lives. Well, I would beg to differ, because the Bible says that we are created in the image and the likeness of God. The likeness, which means something which is like, or something which is similar. So we are similar to God in the fact that when we create, we speak, we create things. Have you ever seen someone who calls their child out of their name? And the child grows up with the complex thinking that they're stupid or they're dumb because that's what their mother or their father spoke over them. We've all heard this thing, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Yet it's the word somebody spoke to you when you was 5 years old that's affecting you in your 30s and in your 40s. The broken bones have healed. So let's be mindful of what we say, not only to each other, but what we say over ourselves. I heard a man of God named John Paul Jackson spoke about a word curse. And so when he said it, I was like, let me check that out. Well, when he said a word curse is when you make statements like, oh, I don't spell that good. Oh, I don't read that good. Oh my God, when he said it, I was like, wow, God, I've done that. And I struggled with reading and spelling. Other than that, was a straight A student. But I struggled so much with my language arts. Why? Because I constantly spoke, oh, well, math is my thing, not reading. I don't need to read. Oh, well, yes, I do. And the problem is I spoke a word curse over myself, but didn't realize what I was doing. Maybe I heard it from somebody. I don't know. Or maybe I just wanted to curse myself without realizing that's what I was doing. Let me see. Have you cursed your children? Have you spoke stupid, dumb, bad behind? Have you spoken those things over your children? And then when they start to, let's see, what's the word? Sowing, reaping. When you start to reap what you sowed, because words are seeds, and when you spoke bad behind, and your child grew up and started being a bad behind, now you mad and you tripping. But you spoke it, so you sowed it. There's a whole nother lesson on sowing and reaping. You can go back and check some of those out from last year, 2015. So you got to be careful what you say. Because we will be held accountable for every word we have spoken. And words can either bring life or bring death. I know some of y'all like, right, sure. Have you ever seen somebody who was having a bad day and you walk into them and say, oh, you're such a beautiful person, and all of a sudden they start smiling and giggling, and what you're doing is you're speaking life to them. Or if you're seeing somebody having a great day, you go, oh, you're just ugly as all get out. And expression changes because you spoke death. So you have to be mindful of the words that you speak. Don't let the corrupt communications come out of your mouth. Ephesians 4th chapter, in the 22nd through the 32nd verse, God is dealing with the change that takes place, saying put them away the former things. Put away the lust and all of this stuff. And in the same section of scripture, he deals with don't let the corrupt communications proceed out of your mouth. So in the change that we go through as Christians, we have to be mindful that not only do we change our actions, but we change our words. Or better yet, if we change our speech changes our thoughts. Our thoughts change our actions, and our actions change our course and our destiny in life. It all starts with what we say. I know we've all heard the story of the little engine that could. He was not able to pull the hill as long as he said he couldn't do it. But then he said, I think I can. I think I can. I think I can. And he began to speak words of life over himself. Then he said, I know I can. I know I can. As the momentum began to build and he pulled the hill, he began to speak words of life. Now we all heard that as we were children. Little nursery story. Yet it was so many biblical principles of that we didn't think about. And yet as we get older, we start to speak this corrupt stuff because that's what society has done. We begin to move along with society instead of moving along with God. And we have to be mindful of that. Okay, let me give you a couple examples of some corrupt communication. term nigga. In the hood, everybody say that's my nigga. Ignorance. Now, nigga refers to inferior, ignorant, contemptible. Another word that's commonly used is the B word. I'm not going to say it. But I've heard women talking about, oh, I'm a bad B. That stands for a female dog. Another term for it, a malicious, unpleasant, selfish person, especially a woman or a lewd woman. So what she is saying is, I'm a bad female dog. I sleep with anybody. Yet we see young ladies now sleeping with anybody. I wonder, is it because you spoke that on yourself? Corrupt communication. Or they become, as it says, malicious or unpleasant. Back to the first word. We see guys acting so ignorantly, yet they constantly speak it over themselves. And you think it's cool you saying that. You calling your boy that. And so when he starts acting ignorant or inferior, hey, that's what you sold. I already dealt with the killed it. Because when you kill something, it means to cause death. So why do we say, oh, they killed it? Man, I was at that concert. He killed that song. So he caused death on the song. That's not really what you mean, but that's what you said. But what you don't realize is spiritually, you're doing things. And the angels of God are sitting there like, why do they want to kill it? Why don't they want to bring life to it? Or pastor preaches a message. You're like, oh, pastor killed it today. Did he? Did he kill it? Or did he bring life to it? Did he bring revelation? Be mindful. Corrupt communication. The skull. The reason I brought up the skull and goats is because recently I've seen clothing and shoes and things, a lot of bikers' clothing with skulls, a lot of tactical stuff with skulls. Skulls are becoming an everyday part of society, yet it's a symbol of death. It's to invoke fear or caution. This one really got me. To celebrate the memory of the dead. A symbol of life after death. Now think about that. I don't see anywhere in the Bible it really talked about life after death being symbolized by the skull. So which life after death are they talking about? Symbol of toughness, macho-ness, courage or bravery, indifference to death or danger. A symbol of free thinking or rebelliousness. It goes on to say like fashion. Why is death fashionable? Why would you have a symbol of death on your children? Why would you wear it? Because it's cool? Or because it's the fad? Is it righteous? Is it uplifting? Is it edifying? Is it glorifying God? Ask yourself. You say, well, that's not communication. Yes, it is, because visually those around you see what you wear. Oh, yeah, let me hit that one. To all the sisters and the brothers, why y'all coming up in the house of God with them tight behind clothes on? And if y'all don't like me after this, so be it. You know, but I just got to tell you the truth. Dress appropriately, no matter where you go. Because the term Christian means Christ-like, which means you represent Christ. That's just totally inappropriate. And I mean, that was really not a part of this message, but thank you, Holy Spirit. I had to say something about it. Check yourself. Because that is corrupt communication. Pretty much what you're doing is advertising for a sale. You say advertising? Well, understand this. When you go to the store, they put a display up for what they're trying to get you to buy. So why are you displaying all of your body parts? Think about that. Corrupt communication. All right. For all those, just be careful. Don't let corrupt communications come out of your mouth. And also be mindful of what you wear and what you do. Because you're communicating to your children and all of those around you. Just think about it. Don't let the corrupt communications come out of you. God bless you. Have a blessed night.